and we are going to be learning a small concept regarding API development, along with a few fundamentals which he'll be also touch basing on. Just to give you a little bit about Aditya, Aditya has tons and tons of experience in this industry, and he's one of the leading software developer in one of the leading banks. So you are definitely in store for a very knowledgeable ride coming up in the next 90 minutes. So before we get started, I just want to check with you guys. Am I audible? Can you just put yes in the chat quickly, please? Let's check the chat. Okay. Okay, great. So I see there are about 45 odd people who joined. Thank you so much for being on time. So we'll spare just another 30 seconds more while we wait for a few more people. Quickly, just want to understand where is everyone from? So just mention your country, where you're from. So I just understand where all we have the audience from today. Okay, so we have from India, Berlin, France, Pakistan, Russia, India, US, India. All right, great. India. Okay, a lot more from in India, Ireland as well. Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Well, so just 10 seconds, and you guys can just type one question each from your side. What is the expectation from today's session? So may I just ask you to just type a short question or short point, which you can just put it across on the chat, so we can try and definitely see if we can get that covered. So um, okay, we have Kum Hon from Singapore as well. Okay, great. It must be quite late there, but yeah, thank you for being so patient and spending time on a Sunday to get. Yeah, so we have to receive better handling of API construction. Are we able to create API without any prior prerequisites? Sumat, I can answer that without an expert being an expert. uh, we are able to do that with this. The main objective is to actually ensure that you can join it without having any prerequisites. So anyone who is just keen, not having any knowledge, enough knowledge, can definitely join in, and you will be definitely having confidence at the end of the session. There will be more deep sessions coming up. I'll explain you during the course of the time. And yeah, so before yeah, so there are a lot of questions coming up, I'm sure. Yes, Aditya is also with me. Before I give you the mic, Aditya, just want to let the audience know that, guys, we are keeping the chat window open. So uh, please ensure that we keep the questions coming, as Aditya can answer them on the spot. Just make sure you don't pick up the topics which were covered and left behind, just to respect everyone's time. And lastly, one more thing, as always, we do give out giveaways for our attendees, as well as we have registrations also coming up for the live training session. So without taking much time, so it's about 3 minutes into the session. We have over 50 participants. Thank you so much, everyone. I will go on mute. Aditya, are you around?
Hey Vivek, yeah, I'm around.
Hi. Okay, great. Thank you, Aditya. Let's get started. I will go on mute, and I'll let you take over. Thank you.
Thank you. So on this note, guys, first of all, can you confirm if you are all able to hear me, please? A couple of yes would give me enough encouragement to get started. That's great to hear. Okay, I'll share my screen. Is my screen visible to all of you? First of all, great, perfect. So before I move ahead, thanks Vivek for that awesome introduction, which I receive so seldom. So thanks for that. Thanks for your kind words. Now moving ahead, guys. I'm Aditya. I will be your trainer for this course for the 90 minutes of duration. Now let's set some ground rules. The first rule is let's make this session as interactive as possible. The whole sole aim of making it interactive is you guys can understand what we are trying to achieve from this session, right? So any questions you have, feel free to answer. Feel free to ask them. I will be more than happy to answer those. On that note, I would like to begin with the session. Perfect. Thank you. So these are the objectives on a broader perspective. I'm trying to cover the mean stack so that you guys can understand what is mean versus MERN, and I would be talking about the APIs, which is the main focus or main driving force for the whole webinar. Make sense? Are we all good to get started? Uh, Sumat, exactly, there are no such prerequisites required, though having Node would definitely help you. What I would, okay, for all those who are here in the webinar, don't try to follow along. What is the good practices? Try to understand whatever is being discussed and try to get those concepts. Once these concepts are there, Vivek will be sharing you a process of how to get the recording and what all the entire process will be. Based on that, you can try this once the session is over at your own, right? Cool. Moving ahead, about me, most of you would be interested in understanding about me. I am Aditya. I'm having a master's degree from BITS Pilani. I'm having almost 7-8 years of experience in professional development, and I have been using full stack development for with Angular for over 2 years now. Make sense? Now, before we move ahead, now first of all, guys, okay. So Sanket, it's more or less like the I am capable of working in both, but in the recent projects I have been working on Angular more than React for just some 2 years now. Prior to this, I was also working on React as well. Okay, now the very first question which comes to my mind when people talk about API development or about mean is why is mean and what actually is mean? How many of you understand what is mean, guys? Okay. Anyone knows what is mean, guys? Anyone? Be quick. Okay, yes, mean is full stack. Okay. Mean stands for MongoDB, Express.js, Angular, and Node.js. So MongoDB, Express.js, Angular, and Node.js. In this session, I would be trying to cover the bits and pieces of everything, and then we would be covering an API development. My aim is so that you guys can understand how to be a full-fledged full stack developer with a focus on API development. Does it make sense, guys? Okay. Now, what is mean? So first of all, why is mean so popular? Why is mean? What is that one thing in mean that like nowadays we are hearing? Okay, I'm a full stack developer. I'm a mean developer. Why are these things becoming so popular nowadays? Any idea, guys? Anyone? I'll repeat my question. Why is mean becoming so popular nowadays? Okay, that's perfect. That's what he has said is what Agatha has said is bang on correct. The only reason why Mean is so popular nowadays is because it uses only one language to develop the entire thing. Now, till now, if you are a Java developer, if you are a like a PHP developer, then you need to have multiple languages to develop your application. But that is not the case with Mean. Mean gives you the power to develop everything in entirely JavaScript, right? So what is Mean? Mean is nothing but MongoDB, Express.js, Angular JS or Angular, Node.js. All these are free and open source JavaScript software which are used to build dynamic websites. Now, what do you mean by a dynamic website, guys? A quick question. What do you mean by a dynamic website, guys? Okay, let's see who will answer it. Yes. No, it's not about being powerful. It's about an interactive website. Think like this: when you go to Amazon, they know your username, they know your name, they know your email address. You want to see things linked for you, right? You don't want to see some static pages coming in every time, the same pages coming in every time, right? Make sense? Exactly. Now, the advantage of mean is from the backend to the front end, everything is written entirely in JavaScript. Now, due to this power or due to this advantage, things are getting really good for me. Why? Because now you don't need to worry about managing different languages. You just use one language and you can create really good and powerful applications. Now, the problem with traditional softwares, traditional, by traditional I mean something like lamp or wamp. Have you heard what is lamp or wamp? Okay. Yes. No. Yes, WAMP is the server, but it actually stands for Windows, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. So it is something very similar to mean. But the problem over here is all of these have different techniques and different languages. Like MySQL uses SQL language. Apache has its own language, right? And PHP is itself a language. So what it means is there are different languages to support and use different things, which can be a problem in sometimes, right? So what it means is to be a web developer, you need to understand PHP, you need to know SQL, and you need to know front-end HTML and something of that sort. All these things makes it very difficult for developers to develop a dynamic application. Correct, guys? That is where, or that is what led to mean. Now, most of you would be concerned about, the question which you asked, mean versus MERN. Why not MERN and why mean? Or why not mean and why not MERN? Something like that. Now, first of all, to be very honest, in my brief experience with these technologies, what I have found out is both of these, Angular and React, are really powerful. Don't compare, and I would say don't choose between the two. What is important or what is very important for you right now as a career choice is to have good basics of JavaScript and then take a framework to get started and then go on as and when requirement arises. Don't limit yourself to, hey, I'm just a React developer or I'm an Angular developer. Focus on the basics of the technology on which these libraries are written. Does it make sense? On that, I have a very good question for you. Who owns React, guys? Okay, and who owns Angular? Yeah. So now what it means is Google and Facebook. These two are the tech giants which are running virtually everything now. So what all efforts they have put in is really worthwhile. So I would say rather than picking a technology or a framework, it's more important for you to have the understanding of JavaScript, and on top of that, build your career or start looking for opportunities in either mean or MERN. Though both are very easy and very simple, but from a starter's perspective, mean is more of a framework. What it means is if you have proper guidance, it is easier to get started with mean. Make sense, guys? Now, let me draw a comparative study of the two. Now, mean versus MERN. Mean is more or less like a framework kind of thing, whereas MERN is a library. Now, what do you mean by a framework? When you say it's a framework, what it means is there are certain rules which needs to be followed, right? Everything has a set pattern. Now, in framework, there could be some features which though are not utilized, but still have to be there. Make sense? Now, the next is MERN is more or less like a library. Now, what do you mean by library? It's a library, right? So a library is nothing but a simple JavaScript file which can be used directly in the application. Now, the language used in MERN is TypeScript, whereas the language used in MERN is JS or JSX. The architecture. Talking about the architecture, mean is based on component based architecture, whereas MERN is not having any architecture. Now, what do you mean by component? Everything in mean is supposed to be a component. It's that you have to have a component in order to create anything. React also has components, but those are not mandatory. Now, talking about data binding, mean has Mean can or Angular can have either a one-way or two-way data binding, whereas MERN has only single way of binding the data. Now, the real power comes in the DOM. So what is DOM? DOM stands what? Okay, guys, what do you mean by DOM, guys? Anyone? What is the full form of DOM? Okay, document object model. So the HTML page which you see on a screen is known as a DOM, right? So the entire JavaScript works on the DOM layer. Now, what do you mean by having a DOM is a DOM is something which is a normal DOM. Now, Angular has a DOM. The problem with DOM or the advantage of having a DOM is every data which is there shown on the screen is written to the DOM. Now, in order to update a field, it is very important that you update only the elements of the DOM corresponding to it. For example, think of if you are scrolling down on a Facebook, right? And you are clicking like whenever you like a post. Now, if you are clicking a like, chances are that if imagine on each like, a whole page would have been refreshed. Would you have would you still be in a position to scroll over the page again and again? Is my question clear, guys? Are you able to follow what I'm trying to say? Now you have to understand from a developer perspective, the pain area is if on a refresh, if you are kind of updating the whole document or the whole DOM for a small refresh, it becomes a heavy payload or a workload for the whole system. Make sense, guys? To solve this problem, React comes up with the concept known as virtual DOM. So what is virtual DOM? A DOM which is virtual in nature. Now, what do you mean by virtual? So what it does is React maintains an internal DOM. Now, what is internal? So it maintains a tree-like structure. So the benefit of maintaining this structure is it understands which element you have to update. So when you click on like, it doesn't need to refresh the whole DOM. It just refreshes the corresponding elements of the DOM. Hence makes your application a bit faster. Correct, guys? Moving on further is the ease to use. So Angular is medium to use because it's a framework. There are multiple things coming to it. Whereas MERN is easy. But if you have proper guidance in MERN, then it is much more easier to get started into MERN than into React. Now, any questions you have over here in MERN versus MERN, I will give you a 30 seconds break to ask any questions if you have for me. Okay. Let me explain you this point over here now. Now imagine I am on this website. I go to now imagine google.com. Now, as soon as go to Google, I land on this particular page. What do you see? This whole page, what this page actually is. This is nothing but a DOM. So if I have to change some fields, like on click of this, I have to refresh some data, right? On clicking of this, if I have to refresh the whole page, it's a very big overhead and a very big cost which comes to my system. Because nowadays, everything is moving web and mobile, right? In such cases, having such a complex system is very difficult. To solve this, what is important is how can we reduce this overhead of the system? Correct, guys? To do that, React comes up with a concept known as virtual DOM. Does it make sense now, guys? Okay. Arun, I hope you are clear now. Great. So moving on to the first part, we have understood kind of mean versus MERN. Now it is important for us to start from node, and then we will be seeing all the mean stack or all the four elements of mean or four pillars of mean one by one, and we'll then move on to the project part. Now let's talk about introduction to Node.js. So what is Node.js? Node.js is nothing but an open source cross-platform JavaScript runtime environment. Now, what do you mean by that? What actually you mean is it's open source Now, it is a JavaScript runtime environment. What it means is it runs inside the JavaScript runtime. So it needs the JavaScript libraries or the capabilities of JavaScript to convert its code into a server. Now, what you see is now, how many of you think that node.js is a file? I have a question. How many of you think that node.js is a file? I have seen many students getting confused that, okay, so node.js is a file. Okay, so what is node exactly? Now imagine guys, okay, library is fine, but okay, think like this guys, when you go to google.com, right? Or when you go to google.com, how does Google render you that search bar every time? Have you ever thought about it? So you go to google.com, you go to amazon.com, you go to any website in the world. How do these websites work inside something? Or how do these websites work? Now, whenever so your machine or your browser on which you are running your machine is known as a, no, crawling is different. You are reaching a separate direction right now, Arun. You have to understand this. When you hit, so what you are using right now, a client or a Chrome, is a browser, right? Now, from the browser, a request goes to a server. We all understand what is a server, right? A server is a powerful machine, something like our computer, but it is more powerful in terms of the CPU and the RAM it has. Make sense? Now, as soon as you hit a request, that request is then transferred to a server. Now, the beauty of this server is the server should be able to read your request or should be able to listen to your request. Now, to listen that request, there needs to be a small file or a runtime environment available. That runtime environment is provided by the Node.js library. Does it make sense now, everyone? Okay. Now, so what is it actually? The node is nothing but a JavaScript command line tool which can be used for server-side programming to produce dynamic pages before the page is sent to the browser. Now, as soon as you go to google.com, Google first understands, okay, what are the two users or the two profiles you are logged in. So it gives you the exact page which can be shown to you. So that dynamic page is created and then is rendered back to you. Now, the concept of node is pretty simple. Node says that there should be JavaScript running everywhere. So the approach of node is pretty simple. It is a JavaScript everywhere paradigm. What it means is from your application to your backend to your front end, everything is written purely in JavaScript. Does it make sense, guys? Any questions over here? You have anyone? Okay. Now, a small clarification for all of you, which is very important. That is, don't confuse node with a file. I have seen people majorly, what they think is that, okay, so node is supposed to be a file. No, guys. Node can be anything. The only aim of having a node is it gives a runtime to my application. Now, if this part is clear, we will then move ahead to the next part. Okay, perfect. Let me see. Okay, now Node has a event-driven architecture. So what do you mean by event-driven? So when you click a website, click a button on the website, let's say on google.com, you click a button. So that button click is an event which is triggered. So what it means is this event or this button being clicked is more or less like an asynchronous request. Now, what do you mean by asynchronous? What it means is you don't need to now look for the exact property or you don't need to wait for the exact response. It can work while the two are working separately. Make sense, guys? Now, Due to these advantages of the majorly the asynchronous property, it becomes very, very powerful when you are building some real-time applications. Think of like some websites like QuickBuzz or some soccer games, which give you the score then and there, the news website which you use nowadays. All of these are some real good implementations built on the top of Node.js. Moving on further from here is my Express.js. Any question anyone has in Node.js, guys? Now, moving from here is my Express.js. So first of all, what is Express? So Node is a server. Why do I use a server? To respond back to my clients. But whereas Express is the backend. So now what do you mean by Express? Express is a minimal and a flexible Node.js web application which can help you build some robust mobile and web applications. Now, before I come to this part, let me explain you what Express can help you. If you are looking forward to build some really good APIs or some easy method to develop APIs, then you can use Express at your disposal. Correct, guys? Make sense? Now, with the help of Express.js, you can develop the HTTP APIs in real quick and easy manner. So what we will be doing for the day is the REST APIs which we will be developing will be based in Express. So what do you mean by now APIs? Now think like this, guys. You have a client. Now what are clients? Client can be a web application or a mobile application. All these clients are written in their respective languages. Say Android app is in Java, the browser one or the web app is in MERN, and iOS is in Swift. Now all these different languages need to communicate with each other. There has to be a common medium of communication. Like right now we all are talking, right? What we are discussing is on a common language, English. In such way to have a common communication medium between the two so that the two can understand the language, we use APIs. Make sense, guys? Okay, sure. I'll just explain this. Can you keep this question marked for the later part? I'll cover while towards the end of the session. Hey, sir, I'm not sure who is it, but you can keep this question parked for right now. Now, what is so Express we have seen, so nothing but the like the entire APIs which you develop are in Express. But how do you install Express? To install Express, you need to first of all, we'll be doing this step, so don't worry. But the command which we use is npm install Express. This will what is npm? Npm is a node package manager. Now, what do you so now imagine all these Express, React, Angular, all these are small libraries or frameworks written by different individuals or a group of individuals. But there has to be a common medium of, a common medium of distribution. That is what we use or what we see in npm. npm stands for Node Package Manager, and in Node Package Manager, we use this. Okay, Sanket has a very good question. If we use Express, then why do we use Node? Sanket, understand this. Now, Express is used as a backend to create APIs, but those APIs need to run on a server which has the capability to answer requests, to listen to ports. So all those event-driven architecture, like, okay, when you're calling an API, a socket is enabled. All those things are done by the node itself. Does that answer your question, Sanket? So what you asked is an excellent question, but I'm not very sure how many of you understand this. I'll explain it to you. Now, there are two things. When you say import, what you are saying is, okay, import this, we'll be using it. But by passing the tag require, now understand this, all the node modules are placed at one place, right? By passing require, what you are saying is, till the time you have Express, don't compile this file because it is using the dependencies which are defined only in Express. So if you don't use require, what it would mean is you are calling you are using this JS, but the dependencies are not there. Hence, the file won't be interpreted properly and could terminate or give errors on the console. Does this make sense? That is why we always use require. It's more or less like a promise thing. Correct? Now, moving on further from here is how do I actually create a Hello World API? Though we'll be creating it today in the example once we jump on to the practical part, but this is the minimalistic program which you can think from the uh, Express perspective. Now I say require, I create the Express object, I create the port and I call the get method. Now what I pass is the slash, which means whenever the slash is called, so get the request and the response and send the response. But now here what needs to be triggered or what needs to be used is app.listen. What does this mean? So by saying app.listen, this work is being done by the node. So the node is now listening to this application on this port, and whenever a request is triggered over here, it matches the request for the URL, and then correspondingly response is delivered by the Express. Does this make sense? Don't worry, we have a really good technical diagram in terms of requests coming up. So don't worry if you are not able to follow at some points. Moving over here is the best part. Now, MongoDB. So what is MongoDB is? MongoDB is more or less like a database which is being used. Now, MongoDB is a NoSQL database. Now, so what do you mean by NoSQL is? SQL stands for rows and columns. Now the advantage of using rows and columns is they have a defined structure, and you can't deviate from that structure. Correct? So in order to keep that structure in mind, so when you have relational databases, using SQL is perfectly fine. But the problem comes with nowadays, think like this. Your applications are dynamic in nature. You are not sure what data you could really have. In such cases, it does make sense to have a NoSQL kind of an approach, wherein you are simply having a document defined, and that document can be updated, and there is no need to change or no need to update the schema. That is what is MongoDB. Now, what MongoDB holds is it holds a key value pair. So what do you mean by key value? Think like this. So like, for example, for me, my name is a key and Aditya is its value. Now, moving further is, so now why is then, so MongoDB is a different thing, right? You would say, okay, so MongoDB is not JavaScript, but why do you then say that mean is all about JavaScript? MongoDB is considered like this because it is something which is, so the documents in MongoDB are very similar to the JSON objects. Make sense, guys? Okay, moving on from here is my next part, which is uh, what could these fields be? Now, it is saying that it's a field value pair. A field can be anything, and the value it can hold could be either a document or an array or a simple array of documents. Correct, guys? Sure. Any further questions you have? Now, what are the advantages of using MongoDB? The advantages of using MongoDB is, the documents which are there, these are simple, these correspond to normal data types. Like, for example, a field, a name is a string. So it can be used interchangeably, right? Now, what it next says is MongoDB says that it is better to embed documents, which means, like, for example, if you are on Amazon's website and you are using address in order, then it makes sense to have the address as a in the order document itself, so that there is no need to have joins, which actually reduce the cost and makes our application a bit faster. Now, since the schema is dynamic in nature, hence you can implement polymorphism. Now, the next thing is we will be talking about installation. So the installation of MongoDB is self-explanatory. It is on the official documentation. But what I would recommend you to is go for Atlas, which we will be using, which is nothing but a cloud MongoDB, which is easier to get started. I will help you understand how to use that in the upcoming part. Okay, let me do that right away. You will go to cloud.mongodb.com. You will register yourself. You will create a new cluster, which is nothing but a new VM or a new MongoDB instance, and you would use a M0 sandbox. Now, M0 is a free forever cluster. What it means is there is no need to kind of pay for it. Now, since there is no need to pay for it, hence you can use it as a dev environment for your application. Okay. Now, moving on from here is my Angular. So, okay, there was a question. Let me take that. What are the most important? So, from the group stack, from the mean stack or from the MERN stack, most important thing is JavaScript. Post that all the concepts of Express and React and MongoDB put together. Now, introduction to Angular. Angular is more or less application framework, which is used to develop. Okay, let me explain this part in a proper manner. Let's say I go to a website which is something like Amazon.in or let's say Amazon.com. Now, once you go to Amazon.com, what you find is you land on this website. Now, let us pick up some device over here or some product. Let's go for this product now. Now, if I click this product, what you would find is a new page comes up. But now, if I change this product from that one to this one, the header and the other parts remain constant. Only difference is in the data which is loaded. Such applications in which you just change the data, but the structure still remains the same as it is are termed as single page applications. Now, what is a single page application? A single page application is a web app which has a single HTML page, and based on user interaction, the page is updated dynamically. Now, how does it works? It actually works using something which is known as Ajax and APIs, which gives a fluidic design. And last is SPA use JSONs, which is nothing but my API's response in order to give you a fluidic look or in order to make your application look dynamic. Make sense, guys? Now, what are the advantages? The advantage of having a SPA is you don't need to reload the complete page. Because of that, it gives you more like an application field rather than the website field. Now, also since the data being transferred on the network is less, due to which it is a bit cheaper and it's a bit faster. Now, since the data is rendered on the client side, what it means is it could even run offline. And nowadays, web apps are using CSS3, due to which these can run perfectly on mobile, and these are then responsive, hence making them a bit faster and bit better. Any questions over here, guys? No, with SPAs as of yet. Now, let me kind of move ahead with this part. Just a second, guys. Yes, I missed this part, sorry. Now, this is what I was talking about, a good explanation from the mean angle. So how does a typical mean stack looks like? A client, a browser, let's say Amazon.com makes a request. This request is then this request is sent using Angular to a Node.js server. This Node server understands where I have to send this request. It then passes the request and sends that to Express. Express now needs to look or now needs to perform business logic, and it could either fetch some data from the database and hence could return back the database, hence returning the process the database values, apply some business logic, return the request with response to the server. Server then shares this back to the Angular, which is then shown as a display on your web page. That is how a typical Node.js structure looks like. Any question anyone has till here now, guys? Guys, anyone has any questions? That's great. Now, this was from the theory angle. We have understood. So we have seen how to develop APIs. We will be looking more into the APIs in the project part right now. And we have seen the basics of mean and MERN. And over here now, let me take a 2 minutes break. Let me hand it over to Vivek, and post that we will be moving with a small practical example with the project to understand how can we develop some APIs. Hi Vivek, are you there?
Yes, thank you, Aditya. Guys, I hope you guys are enjoying what's been presented, and the basics and the understanding of the concepts of of what we're going to come up with. So while he loads up the entire page and he gets the today's example ready, just wanted to let you know, guys, we as Eduonix Learning Solutions, we are e-learning providers for majority of the IT related courses, in which of course the mean stack development is also one of our core specialty, because we work with experts like Aditya Dua. There's another expert who is Mr. Gray Lewis as well. So while we wait for Aditya to just load up everything, just wanted to tell you that today, yes, we're going to be covering 90 minutes. We're going to be covering as much as possible. We're going to touch base all the aspects, but to have an in-depth analysis, to have a complete understanding, to have a hands-on project with the help of your expert, I think it requires really a little more time, if I'm not wrong. Now, for that, what we came up with something which we called as a live training for all the audience which we have today. So what I was talking about is this. If you can see my screen, it's this is basically a live online training, which is going to be a 2 month long process. Now, don't worry, it's not going to be an everyday session. As I mentioned, it's going to be a Saturday and Sunday event. Every Saturday, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. and Sunday remains the same as well, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. It starts on the 6th of March. I'll shortly share the registration link with you guys. Also, there are, as I mentioned, there are a few giveaway goodies which are also in store for each one of you. Don't go away. This is getting really interesting, and we'll also have a quick Q&A question answer round wherein Aditya will be also answering your questions, and I'll be around as well to take you through the registration process for this upcoming live training session. All right, so without taking much time, I'll just pass it back to Aditya. Aditya, are you around?
Uh, Vivek, I would need 2 more minutes actually.
Oh, all right. Sorry. Okay. So Aditya, once you are ready, just give me a shout. I'll just stop. Guys, one quick question to each one of you. I know today being a Sunday, everyone sacrificed their time, their family time. They want to go out, hang out with their friends. So we've give dedicated time towards Eduonix, and as a gesture, we are not just giving out this as a freebie, but there is something along with it as well which is coming up now. How many of you are feeling lucky? Just Majid, I'll let you know. Hanish, I will let you know about what's the procedure. Everything I'll let you know. All right. So everyone's feeling lucky. Great, great, great. So good that you're feeling lucky about it, because I'll tell you what, we have something called as um, giveaways, as well as the products or the courses which you're going to be seeing. Those are worth quite a lot, but we are giving it out at a very very low price. Now, having said that, I am not giving you more details as of now, because this would be something which Aditya will also explain you in detail. Once you are convinced, once you're happy with the Q&As round, then you'll be able to make a decision. Hence, I am keeping the registrations towards, towards this session. So we'll continue with this session. And let me also inform each and every one of you, people who are worried about, will I get the PPT which Aditya is showing, will I get this recording of the session, uh, do not worry. Within the next 24 hours, it will be added to your Eduonix panel, so your Eduonix dashboard. It will be added to your Eduonix dashboard in the next 24 hours after this session ends. So be rest assured, do not have to worry. I'll just check once again. Aditya, are we ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, great, great. Thank you, guys. Thank you for hearing me out. Back to Aditya now.
Thank you. Thanks, Vivek. Thanks for that time. And I'll share my screen. Sometimes system do behave a little weird. Yeah, guys, are you able to see my screen now? Perfect, guys. So now I'll go over here and I'll create a new project. Let's name this project as mkdir. Let's name it as REST API. Now, once you create this project, then we need to change directory to this project. And over here, I need to start an npm init. As soon as I start npm init, it is asking me that it will create a new package or JSON file, asking me the package name. I'm not changing any of these parameters, and I'm just simply moving ahead by saying OK. So now, if I do ls, I find that I have got a package.json file. Let me share my entire desktop with you guys so that you can even see along as I code. Now I'll go over here and I'll say, oh, add folder to the workspace. I'm using a VS Code for this session right now. And over here, this is the API project which I'm talking about, and I will add this project over here. Correct, guys? So now this is my project. This is my package.json file. And over here, it is supposed to have everything. Now, what I need to include or what I need to add is what I need to install over here. Now, yes, what are the things which I will be using? First of all, I would be using Express. So I would say npm install Express. Now, after I include this, I would see that my Express library is imported over here. Now, next is, in order to have the have the JSON being read and responded, I need to have the library which is body parser. So I have Express, I have body parser, and the last one is, which I would be using, is the Mongoose library, which I would be using to connect to my MongoDB. Right, guys? Now, once these modules are there, I would go to my REST API project and I would create a new file, which would be my app.js file. In the app.js file, I say var express is equal to require express. Now, I say require express, and then I create the object where app is equal to express, and I simply say app dot now. I define a port which is var port is equal to 1234. I'm giving any port for now, and I say app dot listen. On the listen, I pass the port over here like this, and over here I simply say console dot log. Now what I want to console is node server is up and running. Guys, you remember this example of what we did? Now, if you recall it from here, what we did was we created a Express, we imported it, and we are then done with the starting. Now, what needs to done is we need to have a get method which is on the slash in order to identify or in order to create a sample API. So what is this? It says app.get. What it means is when you are firing, so this app should be triggered. So when a request comes to this particular event, it says, okay, listen. So it is listening on this one. And if the app has this URL, what it means is send the request to this particular function. Moving on from here is I need to start this file. I say node app.js. So what you see is this one node server is up and running. And if I go to my browser and I replace and I hit the request, which is localhost 1234, I say a hello world API. Perfect, guys, makes sense. This is the basic and the simplest API ever possible using Express. Correct, guys? If there are questions, I'll take a 30-second break and then we will move ahead by introducing something as mongoose. Okay, sure. This is what you see, the Hello World API. Now, if you pass something like this, it says cannot get this because this is not defined. Let me define something as test. Test is again not defined. Now, if I pass it over here, something like this, and I say test, I say the test API runs. I will have to stop this server, start this server, and I go over here. Now you see that the test API runs. If you are passing some parameter, then this can also run, but we will be covering about this thing in the upcoming parts of the session. Sure, guys, perfect. Now, in this way, we can define multiple APIs. This is a good way to learn, but it is not how it is done in the industry. So let us kind of try to adopt to that behavior and let's kind of, yes, Sahil, we can use NodeMon, but since most of us are freshers, I'm not getting into that complexity because then we need to explain what is NodeMon, how to configure it, so all of that. No, Nina, no, we have to do it manually. That is what Sahil is saying to have a NodeMon being run. Now let us try to say var body parser is equal to require. This is one of the questions which someone asked, like why are we using this require and what are the purpose of this one? The only purpose is that it should wait for this library to load before it can set up a new request. Now, once this part is done, let me add it over here. And so once this part is done, let me set up the MongoDB connection. So how do you set up? So you say var mongoose. This is require mongoose. Once now, you guys remember that I am using a Atlas or MongoDB cloud instance. To do that, I simply have to go back and then go to my connection string. I say connect using your application, and I simply use this system. This is my system, and I pass the username mean webinar and again mean webinar. Now, once you have got all these things ready, you can simply say mongoose.connect. Now, as and when you say connect, you will have to pass the URL. So once you say connect, it is then, so this connection gives you a promise. So what do you mean by promise? Whenever you connect to a server or to any database or anything for that matter, that opens a stream of line or a stream for network between these two. Once that stream is accepted, then you kind of link it from over here, and this is termed as promise, correct? Then you say var db is equal to mongoose dot connection. So we have got the connection. Now in the next part, I simply say db dot on. So db dot on. Now if in case this db results in an error, I simply say console dot error dot bind, and you say console, and then you say MongoDB connection error. Now, let us try to hit this API again and call this. So if you now it is saying that that MongoDB is connected and things are working fine. If I kind of replace this and pass a wrong username just to test if my system is connected, I would get an error because this is not allowed and I get an error. So by passing the correct things, I was able to have the exact connection string, hence I was able to work fine. Make sense? So this is a validation of the fact that I am able to use a MongoDB with my Express.js. Guys, any questions to hear anyone is having now? Perfect. So since you are done with this part, let us kind of create a new model for my application. I say models. So what I have in models is my, let's name it as account.js. So what I have in account is I create the mongoose, I import the mongoose over here, and then from the mongoose, I get the schema. So what is my schema? Schema is equal to mongoose.schema. Now mongoose understand what schema is, and I name this as account schema. This is equal to new schema. Now this is name, and I say required is true and max is 100, balance type is number, and required is true. Now over here you say module dot exports, you say mongoose dot model. Now what you are to, I'll just explain what I'm trying to do over here is I'm trying to say that I am exporting a account schema whose name is account and it refers to this particular schema. Correct, guys? So this is a model which is created, and this model, okay, that's a very good part. Okay, I missed this part. Okay, Shraddha, I'll just explain the promise part. Give me a moment. Now, by model, you mean, yes, by model, I mean a schema. Yes, MongoDB is schemaless, but if you want, you can utilize these. Because many a times people say that no, like for example, if you are having a username password, you need to have the username and password. So that is the power of MongoDB. You can either keep it, like without any validation, and if you want, you can even keep it with validations also. No, Sahil, MongoDB is running on the server. I'm using a cloud instance of MongoDB. Now, once you are connecting to this connection URL, this connection will be a always on connection, right? So now what it says is when you say connect in the global promise, a new connection entry is created. That is rendered to this promise in order to understand whenever a request hits on the Mongoose connection, it utilizes this promise in order to be able to connect to the server. Does it make sense, guys? Okay, moving on from here is, so this is what we had for the model. Now let's create a route. I told in the very starting that having all the routes in one file is not a good idea. So what is important is you create routes for your separate apps. So I create a route like this, and over here I say where router is equal to express.router. Now, once a router is created, I say router dot get. Now, what I get, let's have first a test connection. Let's first have a test one. I'll tell you what do we call over here, and in the last one we pass slash. Now, to have this, we need to create a controller over here where we define the business logic and hold my data. Now, var account is equal to in the models, use account. On this account, I say exports.test. So what do you export in test is a function which accepts the request and responds back with the answer. And over here, I kind of replace these two parts. Oh, sorry. Okay. I remove this and I say hello world, or let me name it as test working. Alright guys, now once this works, I kind of go ahead and I create a slash to get account details. So whenever a request comes to fetch account details for all, I simply say account.find. Now what you find is this is a function which can either give an error or an account. And if there's an error, I simply say return the next. I simply say return the error. Else I simply say result dot send the account which are returned. Alright guys, makes sense. Now I need to first import this controller in my class over here. I say var account controller is equal to require colon double slash dot controllers, and then I pass account, and over here I say this dot test, and over here I say dot get details all. It's your wish. If you want, you can. Otherwise, you can, even if you don't write in parentheses, that is fine. Now, from this one, I say module.exports is equal to router. So my router part is done now. Now, what I need to go beyond in my router is to be able to call my app to read this router. So for that part, I go over here and make some changes in my application. I say app.use. Now what I use is body parser.json. What this will do is it will parse my JSON, and then I say app.use. In case the request is coming from the slash accounts, then read the account which is defined over here on the top. So what is account? Where account is equal to require colon double slash double dot. sorry, single slash from the routes pick up the account. Alright guys, let us try to run this part over here and see the behavior. Okay, so over here now test would be replaced by account or accounts. So you see that the test is working. Now if you remove the test, you find that there is no data coming in. So let me go back to my cluster and create some dummy data in my application over here. Okay, which database it was connecting to? It is connecting to my first database. Create database, my first database, accounts, my first database, accounts. Now, what are the fields I have in account? I have in the model, I have a name and a balance. So I say insert document. In name, I insert A, and in balance, I insert 1000, which is of the type in 32. Let us see if I fetch it from here, is it read? So it is able to read this data, and this data is read from here. Make sense, guys? Now, in similar ways, we can go on and further increase our application to include other routes and add dynamicity, but that is how you can create further APIs. That was the basic API which you can create using MongoDB and Express as a whole. Any questions anyone is having, guys, for me now? We are keeping it simple because there are people who are just starting up. So it's a basic thing to get started, and that is how it is supposed to look like. Any further questions, I'll take it over here. Otherwise, I'll hand it over to Vivek, who will take it from there now. Vivek, are you there?
Yes, Aditya. Okay, guys, if you have a question, just put it on the chat. Aditya will be happy to help you out here.
Okay, Saransh, what is the question, please? If database, no, Mongo will not throw an error till there. So whatever you are whatever you are trying to fetch, it will only throw an error if the value is, like, see, if it's not existent because there is no value, right? If you kind of store some wrong values or schema error, then it will definitely throw an error, but it doesn't throw an error when you try to connect. You have to understand there is no schema validation over here. That's why, right? Because whenever now, if the database was not there and if you would have inserted a new account using APIs, the database would have been created automatically. Yes, you can do that, Shalan. While you are just, so while you're creating an API, I'll share, like, so I'll help you with it. So while you are firing a post request, it will first check like if the DB exists. If the DB doesn't exist, it will automatically create one. That's an automatic process actually. Okay, that's sure. Now, so you come to app, which comes to listen, which listens on the port. This then comes to this app.use, which comes onto the account if the request is having account. Once it comes to account, it comes to router where it looks for the matching URL, which is then sent to a request in the controller. In the controller, you are having a model which is having the account map and all the functions defined over here. Now, as soon as you say fine, it will either pull data or create data. But all this account is nothing but a MongoDB schema, what which means like it can be saved or fetched automatically without you having to code explicitly for it. Does it make sense, Sanket, now? So, in case you are creating schema, in case you are so Gaurav, this is for your question. In case you are creating schema, you have to understand what values are important and what values are not fetched or not used, and based on those, you should create or use those. So, like think like this. Now, if you understand, okay, like this is my required. What it means, it should be created automatically. So you have to keep all these things in mind. Yes, Ninant, you can kind of create or joins and all those things can be done over here also. Yes, the connection is automatically closed and created whenever you restart the server. Okay, so all these APIs, what you are doing, right? This all is actually more from the Express angle. This API routing, calling of controller, all these parts are done over here. Okay. So, Robin, is that correct, or you want some more explanation on it? Till you answer this, I'll take up Saransh questions. For progressive apps, I would say no. I would say mean and moan both are equally fine, not a problem. And but yes, MERN is good if you are looking to get started yourself, because MERN is simple, but at the same time, mean has good resources and something good to get started. Yes, I would. If it's a progressive web app, I would still recommend to use mean or MERN. Yes, using it over here would really be a better one. Okay. Robin, I'll come to this question. Let me take it. So, okay, Robin question is more or less like this. Now, what Robin is asking is, what is global.promise? Now, see, this connection, once you have opened it, it will remain open forever, right? Which means it's now a global parameter, right? But in order to allow this mongoose, so because whenever I'm creating a connection request, I would be using mongoose. So how do I link the two? To link this to, in the mongoose promise, I set up this very value by simply creating a address copy of it or assignment operator, which allows me whenever I'm using mongoose, it is saying that use the global promise in, and which has the existing connection to MongoDB to connect with it. This makes sense now, Robin? Now, Kamaljit, what you're asking, Kamaljit is asking what is account controller. Think like this, Kamalji. All the business logic, like say when you place an order on Amazon, right, or anything you do, the business logic is supposed to be stored inside a controller, right? To store it inside a controller, you need to have a controller defined. Now, if I have the routes and function all in one class, the code would be very very clumsy to read. So, in order to have it implemented properly, this is the way how you do it in the industry. Indexes are more on MongoDB side, Gaurav, and I'm afraid I think because of certain restriction we can't cover it right now. But yes, if we have a session on MongoDB, then that can be covered definitely. No, you will be using global or promise because even if the connection is stored inside the server. Understand this part. Connection is not on single place. Connection is inside the server. So you need to be able to connect with it even after the connection is not used for some time. Okay, what I'm saying is now, even if you are doing it, you are kind of fetching this in on-prem. This connection string or this connection is supposed to live there. Okay, guys, is it audible now? What I'm saying is, even if you have an on-prem system, still this connection needs to live inside the server. So this global is a parameter which stores the values of all global values, right? So whatever the basically the app level properties, these are stored in the global variable. So inside this there is a promise which is storing the connection to the server, to the MongoDB server. That is why we are giving it as a promise, or that is why we are assigning it. Yes, basically, so yes, that is correct. To not basically to not recreate the connection one again and again, and to simply reuse what is being created. Any further questions you guys have for me?
Wow, so many questions regarding such a short session, and I'm sure Aditya will also agree. The subject is vast, but the time
Yes.
is ticking, so it's kind of makes okay. Robin has one quick question, so I'll just mute.
Okay, middleware. What do you mean by middleware? So, Robin, middleware here is the Express, which is handling your request in terms of backend. But if you talk about middleware in terms of the actual architecture, then Node is that server middleware which is actually handling the request and giving this to the Express to process it further. Does that answer your question, Robin?
All right, okay. Uh, Guys, quickly wanted to, while we have questions coming up from each one of you, I'll uh, I'll just let you know the registration details quickly. Just to recap, in case you guys missed out. Um Currently, what we have done is we touched base upon the fundamentals and in the superficial aspects of mean stack, and to get more in-depth analysis, more in-depth learning, get to know each and every aspect of mean stack development, just like using the MongoDB, Express, Angular, and Node, and of course get a career guidance explanation, and not just from Aditya. There is another expert who is joining us for this live session on from the 6th of March, which is his name is Gray Lewis. You can find him on Google, you can LinkedIn and check his profile as well. Same is the case with Aditya as well. So these guys are industry experts. You guys are not going to get such an opportunity to interact with them one on one. Now, as I mentioned, it's limited to 50 seats, and we have actually just left with 14 seats at the moment. Now, what does this offer? As you can see on the screen, that I have just picked up a few highlights of the upcoming session. You will be actually having a real time uh, projects which will be evaluated by these experts. Of course, you will also get advice and also the real time as to how you can use it during your job. People who are not sure, concerned about how they can utilize this, here's the answer. Aditya and Gray are the people who will be actually giving you that training as well. Now, what's more is Eduonix is offering you, just like along with the expert, we are also offering you a platform to interact with these people. And I am also just going to share the registration link. Before that, just sharing these other industry projects which were coming up during this session. So during the live session, you will be actually having these industry projects which you will be able to look into. Some of the tools which are covered at the moment. I'm sure everyone is aware of this. And at the end of this, you also get the certificate of completion. These are industry verified certificates, which can, of course, add weightage to your profile wherever you're trying to upskill yourself or apply for a new opportunity. Now, quickly, now the reason I came up with this is because you are actually going to be able to have this right away. So I'm opening the chat window right now. I'm just sharing the link right away for registration. Guys, the best part is if you register now, you are actually going to get it virtually. The effective price is going to be absolutely free. It's virtually free. I would say it's virtually free. So if you calculate, you see the spot bonus is a full stack JavaScript e-degree worth $47. I think that's the discounted price, but the actual price is close to about $90 is the actual price, which is there in the market. Plus what you're doing is I'm also giving you a free giveaway course which is going to be shared in a bit right now. Make sure you take that course because that's an absolute free giveaway course that's worth another $5. So that's 90 plus 5, and you knock off this 20% which I'm offering you for a spot booking. We're using this code which I have shared it on the screen, also on the link. Make sure you use this, so that makes it virtually about $10 to $20 which you're spending for a 2 month long session. Mind you, this is not just a one-off session. It's going to happen each Saturday and Sunday. Aditya and Gray are going to be a part of this 2 hour each day on a Saturday and a Sunday. Guys, do you have any question with regards to the link which I've shared with you? You can ask me right away. Before we end the session, I don't want to keep you guys waiting or we extend the session. I respect each one, everyone's time. Let's ensure we wrap up on time and get the make the most out of this. Guys, any questions? Are you able to get this? This session is not having any certification, Abhijit. At the moment, we are just providing just the training, just the touch base, just to keep everyone aware about what Eduonix and Aditya is coming up. Sanket, I'll share the link with you for the free course which I'm giving away for $5, which you don't have to pay at all. All you have to do is just enroll. Guys, I want to know who all have had opened the link, and how do you find the registration? Did you actually go through the registration? Anyone who has made a spot booking, because then I need to take their names and email address to ensure that this e-degree, which is worth $47, will be added for free onto their Eduonix panel in the next 24 hours. So guys, just make sure you let me know that you have made a purchase. Has Abhijit, you made the purchase? Okay. Okay, no, okay. Kamaljeet Kaur, okay. Yes, I'll repeat, no problem. So Eduonix has tied up with industry experts like Gray Lewis and Aditya Dua. Now, these guys are experts with tons and tons of experience in the mean stack development industry. And what they're doing is they're sparing their precious time for aspiring people like yourself with Eduonix to give you in-depth session, which will be a 2 hour each day on a weekend. So if I have to just for Kamaljeet's, I'll just benefit. I'll just scroll back. Okay, so This is going to start on 6th of March, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. GMT, every Saturday and Sunday, and it's limited to 50 seats because we don't want to be, crowding everyone, and there'll be no personalized attention. So, Kamalji, just for your reference, I'm just repeating all this information. Some of the industry projects which we are covering, the tools which are covered, certificate at the end of the session. Of course, you will get the certificate at the end of your live training after 2 months. And this is the offer which we're offering you to you right now. Yes, Abhijit, after discount, that's showing 6,000 rupees in India. If you go without the code, it's going to be 7,500. That's after the session ends today. The offer will be taken away. And also, I'm giving you a $47 worth e-degree, which will be added to the panel as well. Outside India, yes, after discount, it's $120, which you can, of course, take the benefit of. I'm just sharing the link for registrations. Just let me know who all have registered quickly, guys, because I'll be quickly accessing the backend panel to check if there have any registrations which have been made. As I said, it's just 14 seats left, and I don't want you guys to be disappointed. The training starts on the 6th of March. So don't miss out. If you miss out now, you may have to maybe wait for a higher price and maybe a 2 month more, 2 month longer wait actually. So, guys, just make sure that you are able to get your registrations. Okay, Robin, thank you so much. I will check the backend. And guys, be rest assured, the e-degree will be added to your Eduonix panel in the next 24 hours. It can't be immediately added. It will be added in the next 24 hours. So thank you, Robin. Thank you for the purchase. Guys, anyone else with this spot offer? We have just left with about 3 minutes more. Prachi, I'm not understanding the point here. I haven't got any request for adding Parag actually on the session. And anyways, we're going to be ending the session on time. We respect everyone's time, so want to make sure that we will give this out. So, any spot registrations, or do you have any questions before you make the purchase, guys? Any questions? Just ask me. After the registration, so C Netto says, so after registration and purchase of 120, what's the final price? $120 is the final price which you pay. That uh, in that you also get $47 worth of full stack JavaScript developer e-degree program added to your panel. So that, plus there is a free giveaway which I'm giving right now. So uh, we'll give the free giveaway, guys. Just make sure you get the take this free giveaway as well. You're welcome, C Netto. Make sure that you register so that you don't get disappointed, don't miss out. Guys, I've just shared the free giveaway. Just enroll for it so that you can make sure that you make the best out of it. Hanish, and for the benefit of everyone, uh, in the next 24 hours on your Eduonix panel, this recording will be actually added to your Eduonix panel. So the PPT which was used by Aditya will be also added to your Eduonix dashboard in the next 24 hours. So do not worry, Hanish, you can go through the recording peacefully at your own pace. And I would recommend, Hanish, if you have any questions, please make sure you register quickly for this live training. It is now or never offer, honestly speaking, because this is ideally, we don't do a discount because already we are discounted our prices, but this is more like a a spot offer for people who are making purchases. Guys, it's about last 1 minute. Oh, okay, thank you, Abhijit. I see your message now. Registration done. I'll check the backend and ensure all the things which are promised are actioned for you as well. Thank you, Abhijit. Uh, Hanish, the price is $120 if you're outside India. In India, after discount is 6,000 rupees. And this is a 2 month long session. It's not a one-off session. Saransh, $120 was too much for a single in this type of market, but next time I'll be a part of it. Okay, Saransh, the only thing is that we are very competitive. If you see the actual website price, it's $150 with discount and the spot bonus. If you calculate, the actual price comes down to roughly about $20. That's the effective price which comes out after we give you that free e-degree. So that's the reason why, if you see in that aspect, that's the reason why. But it's absolutely fine. No forcing business here. We just here to help you out. People who can take it can definitely make use of. Abhijit, yes, job placement regarding support, we are, as I said, career guidance is provided by the expert. You have questions related to your career after completing this session, I mean the live training, the experts will be able to guide you as well. So do not worry. Guys, one last thing before I let you go, because we finished with the timings today. uh, we I Since I see that a lot of us I feel very bad. I'm unable. Okay, Wi funds. I can't afford a $50 purchase. Okay, Saransh, what I can do just for your benefit as well as for the people who are not able to make a spot registration, I'll keep the same offer available for the next 24 hours right from now. So from now, I'll drop an email with the same offer for the next 24 hours with the same code. Make sure you're making the best out of it, but after 24 hours this offer will close. All right. So guys, with this I thank each and every one of you. Thank you, Aditya, on behalf of Eduonix and on behalf of our lovely audience today. Our audience has been really great in interacting, also asking questions. Saransh, but I'm sure the course is amazing. Yes, you can be definitely guaranteed, because we are talking about our industry experts. They have experience. They can share their real-time experiences with you, which can actually help you in your career as well. So think about it. An email will be in your mailbox shortly, uh, in everyone's mailbox rather. Aditya, thank you for being such a patient and being such a sport to help us understand each and everything what you teach. Guys, if you have anything, just put it on the chat. We'll end the session in another minute. Aditya, you have anything to say?
No, thanks, Vivek. Thanks for taking out time, and thanks, Eduonix, for organizing this. Also, a big thanks to the entire participants who took out time from their busy schedule on a weekend, and like wishing all the best for their careers. And stay tuned to Eduonix website for further of such sessions, and all the best for the future.
Thank you, Aditya. And one last thing, guys. Uh, there will be another email which will be also shared with you, which is going to be a feedback email about our today's workshop. We would like to know how you felt. So please share your honest feedback. We will definitely take the feedback and work on it to be better each time. Uh, Thank you on behalf of the entire Eduonix team and Aditya, to all the audience. Guys, we will be ending this session to respect everyone's time. Thank you and have a great day ahead. Happy weekend, everyone. And thank you, Aditya. We'll connect again. Thank you.
Thank you.